Okay, so today was a very big day in old school RuneScape news, and so I wanted to make sure that we went over the patch notes because there is quite a bit of them, and there were some massive nerfs to sailing. Now, it's been a while since I've done one of these patch notes videos, so I'm definitely going to be rusty at it, but we're basically just going to go through the patch notes today, the full length of them, and we're going to kind of explain a little bit. I'm going to summarize. I'm not really going to read a lot of this verbatim. We're going to summarize a lot of what Jagex is talking about here, as I've already read these earlier today, and then what Jagex is planning on doing in the future when it comes to this. Now, it is a massive change to sailing, with XP rates kind of adjusted across the board, some good, some bad, mostly bad though. So getting into it right at the top, because it's going to take a while to get through these. Basically, Jagex has basically said that they love AFK gameplay, but that it was never the intent for 20 to 30 minute AFK gameplay to be like the main part of training sailing, and so they wanted to make an adjustment. Now, everybody knows that the Crystal Extractor was going to be getting nerfed, and that was the brunt of the nerf, or at least everybody thought that was going to be the biggest nerf or the main nerf, but Jagex took it a little bit step further, and they made some more nerfs on top of that. So just to go from the top, as you guys can see, changelog December 3rd. They made a variety of balancing focus tweaks to sailing XP. Obviously, you're going to have to go and see the full blog. I will make sure I post this down below for people to get all the full details, but I'm also going to go through them right now for you guys as well. Other than the changes, which we'll get into them, they also made it to where XP rewards like XP lamps or Tears of Guthics now work for sailing, so that's kind of a little bit of a bonus. You still have to complete the Pandemonium quests in order to get that XP, or in order to use those lamps on sailing, but you can now also use those XP lamps and your Tears of Gothics rewards towards sailing. They did some more fixes that they've been working on in general. They improved the hitboxes of the lost supplies, and those lost supplies refer to the Barracuda trials. They think they've got it right this time. Hopefully they've got them. I haven't tested them yet myself. I'm waiting to see what they do tomorrow, but they think they've got them right this time. The size of the cargo holds model and clickbox has been slightly increased to make it easier to click on. I don't know. I didn't really find this to be an issue, but you know, maybe some players did. Players should no longer find themselves logging at the last port that they visited if they logged out with their boat docked at an island's mooring point. This was actually just brought up to me yesterday on stream, so this is really cool to see that it's getting fixed. Basically, if you went to a dock and logged out, sometimes your boat would be at the last place that you were at, which is a super weird bug, but that has been taken care of. Shipwrights can now repair your boat for 50 GP per hit point restored, so that's really cool. Just kind of a way for you to repair your boat without having to have repair kits if you're at a dock. Boats will now heal the full whenever their keel or hull is upgraded. Cargo crates from courier tasks no longer count towards the cargo hold storage cap for UIM players. Now this is a big one for UIM. This is something that they only want to do temporarily. They plan on talking with UIM players and seeing if they can come up with a better long-term solutions. Listen, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. If you're a UIM, you got a few things loose up there. No shade to any of the UIMs. Remove some invisible walls in the Fremensund near Meteora Lodges. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't think I even know what that is. I've never even seen that. But hey, they removed some invisible walls, so that can't be a bad thing. Chum stations now require the same level, the same sailing level to use is required to build them, meaning if you can build one, you can use one. That's pretty standard. That seems pretty good. Default settings have been adjusted so that using the check materials button on boat upgrades will display a message in chat by default. This is nice. I mean, previously you had to go into the settings and turn that setting on. You no longer have to do that. This should have been default from the beginning. Glad to see that's changed. Diving gear is no longer deleted when deposited into the cargo hold. I'm not sure what was causing this to happen or when this was happening, because it never happened to me, but hey, that would have been a headache if it did. A helmet related mermaid riddle solution has been updated to incorporate another correct solution. We fixed a bug where players sorting merchant salvage were being told that they did not have the sailing level requirement to sort through it in some scenarios. Very interesting one. Players can no longer walk onto sailable tiles in Varlamore and Laguna Rore and teleport themselves to Port Sarah. Yet that, I'm not gonna lie, that's a fucking crazy one. That one's weird. Planks from the plank sack are now usable when building facilities on a boat. This is very nice. This is super useful. I don't know why this was kind of an oversight. They kind of missed this, but glad to see that it's fixed now. Captain's log no longer suggests that there's any evidence of the Sharhai to the west of Vatrachos Island, because the evidence is actually to the east. They said, our bad on this one, but well done to any explorer spirits who went out of their way to find this evidence regardless. Frost Dragons have had their respawn timer made faster. They'll now respawn every 4.5 seconds, down from 18 seconds. This one is big. For those of you guys that have been hunting the Frost Dragons, and I myself just started earlier today killing a bunch of Frost Dragons, especially for those of you Irons, you know we're gonna have to kill a lot of Frost Dragons and other creatures to get all of the parts that we're going to need for our biggest boat upgrades. Not only did they increase the spawn rate from 18 seconds to 4.5 seconds, but Frost Dragons can now also be fought in a cavern within the island next to where you were already fighting them. There's now a Slayer only cave in there, which is really, really cool. I was killing them in the Slayer only cave earlier today, and let me tell you, not a soul in there. Mostly people killing Frost Dragons are not doing them on task. It was really, really nice, really, really free. They made some Z buffer graphical fixes. Now this is some technical termage that I'm not aware of. I don't know what the hell the Z buffer system is, but it's a new system and they just made some graphical fixes. I'm not really going to cover these because I don't really think they're that important. They're graphical fixes. So, I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory. They also fixed a bug where players receive their guaranteed mimic on the 26th casket or the 11th master instead of the intended 25th elite or 10th master. I'm not gonna lie, I think this happened to me. So glad to see that's fixed. And then this is one I actually am pretty excited about. I used to farm watermelon right next to the compost bin in the farming guild, and you would be able to, if you did it in the right tick, you'd be able to farm the watermelon and throw it in the compost at the same exact time. And at one point, it just completely stopped working. Didn't know why. Glad to see it's being acknowledged here. They have fixed that, except with the exception of PvP and Deadman worlds. Basically, the code had stopped working because the code for using items on scenery was breaking binding effects, such as the ice spells. So they had to kind of fix that for PvP. It's no longer a problem in non-PvP worlds. They corrected the interface positioning to remove the gap at the top of the screen when moving the world map on desktop. And the water pump site on Vitrachos Island now updates its appearance correctly when you build the pump. So that's, I mean, I don't know what it looked like before, but that's good. That's good to see. And then a troll face has been removed from the thieving skill guide. Did anybody see the troll face in the thieving skill guide? Because what the fuck? That's definitely one of the most interesting ones in here. Now, what everybody's really here for, the sailing XP changes. There's a lot to break down in this, so we're going to immediately get to the bullet points. I will have this link posted underneath in the description for anybody that wants to go further into detail and read all of what Jagex had to say, but we're just going to dive straight into the bullet points. Basically, they were kind of looking at each category: ship combat, deep sea trawling, XP rates, drop rates, pain point prioritization, and then iron and ultimate iron concerns, and a whole bunch more on top of that. So with them breaking into all that feedback, they broke into each of the different ways to train the skill: Barracuda trials, courier port tasks, salvaging, bounty port tasks, deep sea trawling, and then core. With them having those core sailing training methods, they said they have a philosophy that level is king. So rule of thumb, basically, higher level unlocks should try to award more XP than the lower level unlocks as a baseline. So that, with that in mind, these are the changes they decided to make. Crystal Extractor, this got a fat nerf. Before, this used to give you 600 XP every 1 minute when you would click on it, and it would take about 4 ticks to harvest. 3 ticks to harvest, 4 when you count the time that it takes to click on it. Now, they mapped this out to be about 1.2 million XP per hour. Now, obviously, it wasn't 1.2 million XP per hour, but if you actually added up every single 600 XP gain, and you did that over the course of 1 hour's worth of time through those ticks, they got out 1.2 million, which translates into about 34k XP an hour for players that were paying enough attention to click once per minute. Crystal Extractor was bomb. It was pretty good. Now, I thought 600 XP seemed very high. I knew it was going to get nerfed. I kind of expected it to get nerfed down to about 300 XP per click. They did a little bit further than that. They knocked this down to 250 XP per click, or roughly 14,000 XP per hour. Now, I do think this is kind of a fair nerf, but I thought this was where they were gonna stop. I thought they were gonna do the Crystal Extractor and not really change a whole lot more. It gets worse though. It does get worse, so we'll keep going into it. Port tasks. Everybody likes port tasks. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. Actually, I feel like a lot of people don't like port tasks. I might be in the minority on this one. I enjoy port tasks. I think it's nice, peaceful. I shoot the shit with chat and we just deliver some shit like we're Uber. I was telling everybody that I was the USPS postman Uber or Postmates Uber FedEx and DoorDasher all in one. I was like the ultimate delivery guy. So basically they decided that they're going to be increasing the XP offered by all courier tasks from level 40 and above up to 15%. So we're going to see a sizable increase, and they actually also mentioned that they might actually be going into this a little bit more and increasing it even more. One of the big reasons for them wanting to nerf the Crystal Extractor was that it made it really hard to balance content and future content, with the idea that Crystal Extractor was a flat 34k XP per hour being added on top of anything, and that's one of the main reasons why they wanted to nerf that so hard. At least that's what they say. So with that in mind, the idea with port tasks is that they're kind of supposed to fill in the gaps in between Barracuda trials. So they're saying particularly at levels 40 to 55, levels 60 to 70, and then as well as a laid back option for people that are 90s and higher. Is where you're going to see like the best XP rates. Now I actually do have experience with this because I did a lot of port tasks. 60 to 70 was actually, there was a really good loop that you could do that was pretty good XP. If they increased the XP here, that I was getting about 60k an hour, which at the time Jubbly Jive would have only given, Jubbly Jive was given like 80k an hour, so it really wasn't far off of Jubbly Jive. So with that in mind, if they increase this by 15%, this is going to be pretty similar to Jubbly Jive in that range, that 60 to 70 range. So it'll be good to see. It'll be something that people will have to find out in the coming days. They're not really changing any XP that's going to come out of bounty tasks. They don't really like where combat is at on boats. They don't think it's in a good state. They're aware that it's not in a good state, and they want to do a better review on how to improve ship combat. So they don't really want to make ship combat a meta XP training method. So they don't plan on touching bounty tasks at all right now, but it's something they might do later on. And then there's deep sea trawling. They always wanted deep sea trawling to be lower XP per hour activity, with a solid resource being fish. It has some of the best fish in the game right now, and they wanted it to be a solid skilling moneymaker for sailing as well. So they didn't want it to be crazy good XP, and so they felt that the XP offered isn't worth the intensity with the Crystal Extractor XP changes. So while they're not changing trawling this week, they're having conversations around the XP of trawling and seeing whether or not it's going to be more of a sailing activity or more of a fishing activity, and then what might be a more appealing change for trawling. So it's something to keep an eye out on. No news on deep sea trawling yet, but it is something they're looking at. Then the biggest ones of all, shipwreck salvaging. While they go really into detail about all the different ways that you can do shipwreck salvaging, and I'm not going to go through all of them here because it is a lot and I don't want this to be a 20-minute video, but basically salvage got nerfed hard. It got nerfed hard, gang. I'm not gonna lie to you, there's no way to sugarcoat this. They nerfed AFK salvage across the board so that its top end is slightly above similar AFK methods like redwood woodcutting. The rough estimate is that AFK salvaging could top out 80 to 90k XP per hour. I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but from what I'm hearing, this is definitely a rough estimate. People are saying the nerf is hitting harder than what they wanted it to hit. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. But from what I'm hearing, the XP rates in salvaging are real rough right now. I will check some of it out later on tonight, so we'll go from there. It says ensure that moderately AFK methods where crewmates salvage and the player sorts still result in more XP, but they're toning it down so that the sorting XP isn't as good as it is. So when you take a salvage and you put it into that salvaging station, you're not going to get as much XP anymore for that. And they actually break that down. But the flip side to this is that they're actually increasing the success oh my god, we fumbled that. They're increasing the success chance of salvage, so you're going to get more salvage more often. Now the thing is, a couple of things here. Crewmates were bugged. They were operating salvage on a 3-tick cycle, whereas players were operating salvage on a 4-tick cycle. This got nerfed across the board. Players are now operating salvage on a 5-tick cycle. In crewmate bug, the crewmate bug was fixed. They're going to match players. So crewmates and player salvaging are now 5 ticks across the board. It's no longer increased. Crewmates are no longer better in that sense. So that's already going to adjust the XP rates that you're going to be seeing, because you're going to be getting less salvage, and because you're getting less salvage, you're going to be doing less sorting, and because you're doing less sorting, you're going to get less XP. But not only that, they nerfed the sorting XP. So that's where this kind of gets rough. Now, they also did up Jolly Jim's deck handiness to 4, so that you can now have 2 crewmates able to use dragon salvaging hooks. Hey, my irons, any of you guys out there got dragon salvaging hooks yet? Yet alone 2? More than 1? It's gonna be a while before we get 2 anyways. So I mean, hell, it's gonna be a while before I get the schematic for dragon salvaging hooks. Now, with that in mind, they have increased the success chance of every single shipwreck. Small shipwrecks are up 11% increased success chance. Fisherman shipwrecks 14%. Barracudas are up to 15%. Large shipwrecks are 16% increase. Pirate shipwrecks have a 21% increase. Mercenary shipwrecks have an 18% increase. Fremenics are 16 to 21%, and merchant shipwrecks are a 16 to 22% increased success chance. On top of that, they're buffing the XP that you get from pulling up salvage for some of the higher tier shipwrecks. So pirate shipwrecks give 76 XP instead of 63. Mercenary shipwrecks give 138 instead of 127. Fremenic shipwrecks give 162 instead of 150. And merchant shipwrecks give 200 XP instead of 190 XP. But they're reducing the XP that you get from sorting. So Barracuda salvage is only going to give 13 XP instead of 15.5. Large salvage only gives 20 XP instead of 24. Pirate salvage gives 26 instead of 31.5. Mercenary gives 30 instead of 63, so that's a big half cut right there. Fremenic salvage gives 32 instead of 75, another massive slash. And merchant salvage gives 34 instead of 95, almost 3 times less. So I expect mercenary, Fremenic, and merchants to get buffed again. I think they went a little bit too hard. I'm gonna be honest, when they did the crystal extractor nerf, they probably should have just stopped there. They went a little too aggressive here. I think we could have kept making small tweaks, small incremental tweaks. If it wasn't where they wanted it to be, they really should have stopped with the crystal extractor adjustment and then went from there. I get it, XP per hour rates were really high, higher than they wanted them to be, but this one is rough. Now, they're estimating the numbers to be a 20 to 30% nerf for AFK salvaging from level 35 shipwrecks and beyond. And then they're also estimating a 20% buff to high intensity approaches to salvaging. I don't know about this. The majority of the 20 to 30% nerf is assuming that you're maintaining good uptime on your crystal extractor. So if you've been taking it easy and missing out on harvesting every minute, then you'll likely see a smaller reduction in XP is what they're saying. Now the word on the street is it's bad all around, so I don't know, I haven't gotten a chance to test it myself yet. They're hoping that this is going to bring XP rates into a healthier spot, but they're also still keeping an eye on it. And they're hoping that the improvements have also improved consistency, which will boost XP per hour slightly in a way that's tougher to model. In general though, this is a tough one for the community. It's a pretty egregious nerf. I think they should have maybe pumped the brakes a little bit and kind of did it a little bit differently. Like I said, I think it should have just been the crystal extractor, but that's not what happened. So aside from that, they finally fixed the Horizon's Lure. So Horizon's Lure correctly applies the 2.5% XP boost to all sailing activities, which means when you harvest from the crystal extractor, when you sort salvage, sorting and salvaging, when you hand in your port tasks, when you trim your sails, when you collect crates in a Barracuda trial, and when you complete a Barracuda trial, the Horizon's Lure will officially add the 2.5% XP boost there. These changes aren't set in stone. They can make some more changes. It's a balancing process, so it's going to keep going back and forth till they get it into a place where they feel it is right. And then aside from the XP changes, we got drop rates, official drop rates. Now, I'm not going to lie, some of these drop rates seem bonkers. Some of them seem more, they're saying they're more rare than they actually feel in game. So we'll have to see about that. Detailed drop rates, though, The Shellbane Griffin, Bell's Folly, 1 in 400. The Gulpat, 1 in 3000. Jar of Feathers, 1 in 2k. Elite Clue, 1 in 200. Jar of Feathers and the Gulpat, pretty standard across the game. Most pets are 1 in 3k. Jars are about the same. From normal Griffins, the Horn of Plenty, which is the Hunter Horn, they're saying 1 in 2500 off task and 1 in 1000 on task. Haven't had a chance to test that yet. Aquanites, with the Aquanite Tendon, which is to make that offhand, the range offhand, 1 in 3500 off task, 1 in 750 on task. You're really going to want to be on task for these. Boat paints to me are absurd, by the way. Boat paints are the Barracuda boat paint is only rolled when achieving the Marlin time for a trial. So it's 1 in 240 for Temper Tantrum, it's 1 in 220 for Jubbly Jive, and it's 1 in 400 for Gwyneth Glide. I don't understand why Gwyneth Glide has such a high drop rate for the Barracuda boat paint. I don't get the logic on it, considering it's 1 in 240 for Temper and then 1 in 220 for Jubbly. Maybe this is a typo. Maybe it's not 1 in 400. Maybe it's supposed to be 1 in 200. It would follow suit where each one gets 20 better. 1 in 400. If this is not a typo and it's 1 in 400, this is ridiculous. Why the latest and best XP and maybe that's why. Maybe they don't want people farming it for the paint because it is the best XP, but that seems silly to me. The Shark Boat paint is 1 in 36 from any port task. The Inky is 1 in 3000 from the Pygmy Krakens, the 1 in 2500 from Spined Krakens, the 1 in 2000 from the Armored Krakens, and the 1 in 1500 from Vampire Krakens. I'm not gonna lie, this is the some of the most rare rate for ink. I mean, I get it, it's black and it's cool, but like, why the hell is this one so fucking rare? Jagex, what's the purpose? The Angler's paint base rate is 1 in 18,000, and the Shimmering Shoal rate is 1 in 16,000. Dude, what is going on here? And then the Salvers is 1 in 24,000. You can only get it from the Marshall Salvage. Listen, some of these paints are not it, man. They're not it. Dragon Sheets, we got the illustrious Dragon Sheets. Strike Worms off task, 1 in 400. Strike Worms on task, 1 in 100. Frost Dragons off task, 1 in 200. Frost Dragons on task, 1 in 55. I ain't gonna lie, maybe I just have a little bit of bad luck. I killed 200 Frost Dragons today and only got 1 sheet. I was hoping to at least see 2 sheets. I need a bigger sample size to really say if this is 1 in 55 or not. I could also just be having bad luck, and I did it on task. I will say I got my first one within 55 kills, so it felt pretty good. Dragon Nails, merchant shipwrecks are giving those out at 1 in 2000. Frost Dragons 1 in 65. I'm not gonna lie, I got more Dragon Nails and Frost Dragons today than I did fucking Dragon Sheets, so there's that. Narwhals 1 in 1024, which I didn't kill that many Narwhals. I don't know why you would kill Narwhals for Dragon Nails. You just get that Narwhal horn and get the hell out of there. Dragon Cannonballs, 1 in 3k from the Pirate Shipwreck, 1 in 3k from the Mercenary Shipwreck, 10 in 4,240 from the Merchant Shipwrecks. Frost Dragons are dropping 2 in 130, which I actually had a lot of Dragon Cannonballs from here. It felt pretty good. 34, I think, and 200 kills. Wasn't too bad. Great White Sharks 2 in 100, Vampire Krakens 2 in 120, Orcas 2 in 92, and Aquanites 1 in 128. The Broken Dragon Hook, dude, Great White Shark is dropping those 1 in 1023. Now there was a bug with the Great White Sharks. It has a 1 in 1023 chance to roll on the dragon table, but because of this bug, they weren't rolling as intended. They didn't say what it was causing or what it was really rolling as, but they're fixing that as part of today's update. Once rolled, dragon items have the following weightings: large dragon kill part 1 in 6, dragon kill part 1 in 6, and then dragon sheets 4 in 6, because it drops between 1 to 2 sheets when rolled. So those are the rates for that. The Armored Kraken drop mechanics. So the Armored Kraken have a 1 in 256 chance to roll on their dragon table. Once rolled, dragon items have the following weightings: they're a large dragon kill part 1 in 5, dragon kill parts are 1 in 5, dragon sheets are 3 in 5. Echo Pearl from the Orca and the Dolphin. Orca's 1 in 512, the Dolphin is 1 in 10,000. Swift Albatross Feather is 1 in 200. I'm not gonna lie, these feel more common than that. I have 3 in 70 KC. You need quite a bit of these, so maybe that'll pan out. Maybe I'm just really lucky there, but these feel way more common than 1 in 200. Narwhal horns are 1 in 100. That feels about right. I got mine at about 45 KC. Got pretty lucky there. Jumbo squid with the squid beak is 1 in 512, and the sword tip squids are 1 in 1024 for the squid beak. Ray barbs. Now this is where it gets interesting. Eagle ray 1 in 300, butterfly ray 1 in 300, stingray 1 in 150, manta ray 1 in 100. These seem really high for the ray barbs, considering you need 8 of them to make good trolling nets. I don't know why, but some of these drop rates are pretty crazy. Like, I feel like this needs to get adjusted. I feel like, dude, there's no reason these should be anything more than 1 in 100 when you have to get 8 of them for 1 net, and you're gonna probably try to run more than 1 net. So that's my opinion on there. You're gonna need anywhere from 12 to 16 of these ray barbs on your fishing boat. Pretty crazy. Bottled Storm, this is a good one. You're going to want to get this. Armored Kraken, 1 in 1024. Vampire Krakens, 1 in 512. They take a little while to kill, so this is going to be a little bit of a grind for the Bottled Storm. You have the Shipwreck Salvaging, the Dragon Cannon Barrel, 1 in 20k from Opulent Salvage. Why is, I mean, listen, I know you can get salvage pretty quickly, and I know they just increased the drop rate, or they increase the success chance of getting salvage. Why is it 1 in 20k? How good is the Dragon Cannon? You know what I mean? To justify that. So it'll be interesting to see. The boat bottle, 1 in 750 from the smalls. Fisherman, 1 in 750, and Barracuda, 1 in 500. The Sailor's Amulet, this is a good one. You're gonna want to get this. Definitely, I got mine from the large shipwreck salvage. Got mine pretty fast. But small shipwreck, 1 in 2k. Fisherman, 1 in 1500. Barracudas, 1 in 1000. Large, 1 in 500. Pirates, 1 in 450. Mercenary, 1 in 400. Fremennik, 1 in 350, and then Merchant, 1 in 300. So the higher you go, the better the rate. Very good amulet. I really like it. Allows you to teleport to 3 different ports. It's the Pandemonium, Port Roberts, and also allows you to teleport to Deepfin. So very good one to get. Salvaging uniques, the Rusty Locket, all are 1 in 3000, and then clue scrolls, small shipwrecks give beginner clues out at 1 in 300. Fisherman shipwrecks give easy clues out at 1 in 300. Barracudas are given mediums out in 1 in 300, and mercenaries are given hards out in 1 in 500. Now here are the odds for the sailing pet. Everybody wants that pet. That pet is freaking fire, dude. We love it. I want it. Don't have it. Hope I get it. Here's the thing. I do not think Barracuda Trials is going to be the play on getting this. It's one. You can only get the pet when the player rolls. If your crew is doing any type of sailing XP for you, you are not getting pet chances off your crew rolling, so it's only when the player rolls. That's important to note because that's going to change things. Barracuda Trials, the Temper Tantrum is 1 in 16k. The Jubbly Jive is 1 in 11,500, and the Gwyneth Glide is 1 in 9,000. This seems really high for something that you're running and successfully completing, you know, once every 5 minutes, once every 6 minutes. Rolls only happen when you achieve the time, and you get more rolls the higher your rank. So if you're doing Marlin, you're getting 3 rolls. So if it's 1 in 9,000, really you're getting 3. What is it like? Maybe my math is off on this. I'll leave this to the math nerds. But if you're getting 3 rolls at 1 in 9,000, doesn't that technically make Gwyneth Glide like 1 in 3k, which is pretty standard for a pet? I could be wrong on that. That's just how I'm reading this. So don't take my word for it, but that's what I'm looking at. Port task, you can get it from the port task. It scales on level required for the task, starting at 1 in 6,000 at level 1. So if the port task is level 1, it's 1 in 6,000 chance when completing the task, all the way to 1 in 3,150 at 99. So the higher level the port task, the better your chance are at getting the pet. So it's important to note when you're doing port task what the level is. Trimming the sails is 1 in 120,000. Pretty fucking insane. If you get the pet off of trimming the sails, your luck is fried for the rest of the year. And I don't mean the rest of 2025. I mean the rest of next year too. Charting, 1 in 30,000 per chart. Trawling, 1 in 360,000 per fishing attempt per sailing XP drop. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Salvaging is insane rates. Don't expect to get this pet through salvaging. 1 in 800,000 for smalls, 1 in 500,000 for fishermen, 1 in 300,000 for barracuda, 1 in 280 for large, 1 in 275 for pirate, 1 in 260,000 for mercenary, 1 in 230,000 for fremennik, and 1 in 160,000 for merchant. That's a lot of salvage. Don't expect to get it through salvaging. Giant fish. I don't even know what this is. I'll be honest. This one has slipped my knowledge, but the rates on the giant fish from the shoals: 1 in 2,000 from giant blue krill, 1 in 2,000 from golden haddock, 1 in 4k from orange fin, 1 in 4k from huge halibut, 1 in 6k for purple fin, and 1 in 6k for the swift marlin. If you're at a shimmering shoal, it's 1 in 1,000 chance to roll rare fish. Distribution chance: krill 45 in 100, haddock 40 in 100, yellowfin 10 in 100, halibut 5 in 100. From the glistening shoal, 1 in 2,000 chance to roll rare fish. Distribution comes down to yellowfin 45 in 100, halibut 40 in 100, bluefin 10 in 100, marlin 5 in 100. Very interesting to see. The vibrant shoal is 1 in 3,000 chance to roll rare fish. Bluefin 50 in 100, marlin 50 in 100. Those are all those are all of the drop rates. They think they've gotten everything. They said if we missed anything, let them know. And then I don't believe we need to go over these. I think we already went over these at the top of the list. We did. So I mean, that's pretty much it when it comes down to the patch notes. Again, I'm gonna post the link in the description so you guys can go over these and look at them in a little bit more detail. But this is the quick summarized version of what Jagex was talking about, and then we went over every single bullet point to make life easier for you guys. It was a lot to unpack. It was a lot to read, and now you guys don't have to worry about it because I just did it for you. Aside from that, I have more videos coming out very soon. I know we haven't dropped a video on the channel in a long time, so if you've made it to the end, 1, thank you for watching this long, and 2, we have, like I said, we have more content coming out. I am getting active on YouTube again, and we were going to stay very consistent throughout 2026 and beyond when it comes down to the YouTube content. So that's a wrap for now. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget to go and check out the newest YouTube shorts that I've been dropping on sailing guide information. And yeah, hey, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped, and hey, let's pray for some better XP rates. You know what I'm saying?